You're probably wondering why I have these glasses on. Tell the people why I have these glasses on.
Well, on the next episode of Married People's Business, we're featuring Gregory and Monica Tatum, who are the owners of Dialogue Wine Bar located on Lake Street in Gary, Indiana.
And they are going to give you 3 reasons, and I did put up 3, I'm not drunk, 3 reasons why wine makes you smart. Next on Married People's Business. There's that sound again.
Yeah, that's your favorite sound.
That is my favorite sound of the week and of the month. Because when we hear that sound and we hear these applause, we know what time it is. It's Married People's Business Podcast. And that means that we're either talking about something very cool or we're bringing on some very cool people. And what I want to tell you is we got 2 cool people with us. We have the Tatums. We have Greg and Monica Tatum, the owners of Dialogue Wine Bar, located in Gary, Indiana. The GI, baby. GI. And they're going to tell us why wine makes you smart. That is the title of this podcast, Why Wine Makes You Smart. And you know what? We're going to turn this music down and start jumping right into this podcast. And we're going to start talking about some smart things. And before we do that, in order for me to talk about some smart things, we have our set. We got our wine. We got the white Zinfandel. And I got to put on my Smarty Art glasses so I can look and drink smart.
You know what?
Oh, my
Just
goodness.
extra.
Man. Welcome to this podcast. Welcome to this podcast. We're so happy to have you guys. So how are you?
We're happy to be here.
We're doing well. We're doing very well.
Well, what we want to do is, Shalice, you want to introduce our special guest?
Well, you've done a little bit. We have Gregory and Monica Tatum, the owners of Dialogue Wine Bar, located on Lake Street in the Miller section of Gary, Indiana. And what I have learned just a little bit, and I'll let them get into it because this is the time for them to put it out there. But Dialogue is a wine bar combining the comforts of wine, books, music, and conversation in a relaxed social atmosphere.
Exactly.
So welcome, Tatums. Welcome.
Thanks for having us.
Thanks for having us.
Well, we appreciate you for coming. So this podcast, for the people who are tuning in for the first time, this podcast is something that we've wanted to create to highlight people, very successful people, particularly married couples like you, and also to highlight collaborators, people that have come together. So you don't necessarily have to be married. You could be brother and sister. You could be brother and brother, sister and sister, family members, or anybody that comes together and builds something special. So we always want to bring on cool people like you to give tips. And like we said, the title of this podcast is Why Wine Makes You Smart. So what we want you to do throughout this great podcast, we want you to give us some tips. No more than 3 tips on why wine makes you smart. So we'll litter the podcast throughout. You don't have to do all 3 at once. So throughout, we'll ask you for a tip, and you can just drop a tip on us. All right?
Okay.
Sounds like a plan?
All right. Like a plan.
All right.
Okay. So tell us a little bit about yourselves. Where did you grow up? Where'd you go to school? How did y'all meet? I'm nosy.
Oh, this is the story. So I grew up here in Gary, and I went to school in Maryville. Gregory grew up in Chicago.
Chi-town.
Here we go. But fast forward, I am a property manager by day. That's my day job.
Okay.
In Portage, and he was living there actually for a little while. So we met that way. I actually showed him his apartment.
Oh.
Yeah, and we for like 3 years. I just knew him, see him around, speak. We see each other out at the Speedway and everything like that. Fast forward again, and I was getting married actually, and didn't work out, of course. And I told him, he came in one day and was like, I'm getting married. And he was like, oh, let me come to the wedding, because we were real cool.
Okay.
That
Greg
didn't work out.
Smooth.
So-
Greg Smooth invited himself to the wedding. Everything. I caught that, Greg. I see you, Playboy. I see you, Playboy.
You know what? To be honest with you, I saw her, and you know what? She was a beautiful woman to me, and I said, you know what? I want to know this young lady. So I introduced myself, and I asked her what church does she go to, and she told me she went to St. Timothy's.
Yes.
And then she said, you know what? I'm getting married. And out of respect, I didn't talk to her ever again. I mean, for the next 3 months, because she was getting married. And that's out of respect. I'm not that type of person. And one day I sat and I was praying, and I asked God to let me find a woman that will fit my needs, that I can love. And for some reason, I went down to the property manager office, and I saw her again after 3 months. And I said, are you still getting married? Can I come to the wedding? And she said, no, I'm not getting married anymore. And right then and there, I ran to Starbucks, got a Starbucks gift certificate, and said, would you like to go out with me to Starbucks and have some conversation?
Look at God.
Man,
Amen.
that's player right there. You know, you take it to Starbucks, get the cup of mocha.
Don't even.
But you know, I prayed to God. It was something, you know, you get tired of running the streets, and I just wanted somebody that I could share, care, and appreciate with. And for some reason, this beautiful woman right here caught my eye and said, this is who's going to be my wife.
Yeah, that's a blessing.
Absolutely.
So how did the origins of Dialogue Wine Bar come about? Did that how soon after you were blessed with your beautiful wife and wonderful wife did the concept come up? How was the seed planted?
Well, during conversation at Starbucks, she said she always wanted to have a place called Dialogue. She'd been planning it for years.
Planning it already.
For years. A place where they have books, coffee, wine. You can sit down and talk about topic of the day. And I told her, I said, you know what? How come you're not doing it? And she was like, financially, I can't do it. And I said, you know what? I got your back, because I knew it would be a gold mine. I said, I got your back. And I'll let her explain how she put it all together.
Well,
so you married a rich man, Monica, huh? That brother said he didn't even know how much it cost. He just said, hey, blank check.
Married
I married a good man. I really did.
Oh, you guys are too sweet.
But we the concept came about just because around this area there was really nothing to do. And I love wine, I love coffee, I love going to Starbucks, and I like to read. But when you think about, you know, a bookstore with a coffee shop, that's okay. But you want a social setting. Like, I don't like clubs anymore. I'm almost 50. And the club scene is not for me anymore. But you want something a little social, you know, not just a restaurant, but not just a bookstore, not like a quiet library type of atmosphere. And I couldn't find anything like that here, and very rarely in Chicago either. So I started researching. There's a book bar in Denver, and it's called The Book Bar. And they do exactly that. They have books, they have wine, beer. And so I kind of modeled it after that. We started out as a book bar, but the coffee part wasn't working. And people didn't really get the concept of a book bar. So we just changed to a wine bar, which is what they came for. And that was our biggest seller. So we turned into Dialogue Wine Bar. And we've been evolving, and we got through COVID. We started right before COVID. So thank God, you know, we made it through that. And here we are, the space open next door to us. In the back of Dialogue right now, we let people smoke cigars, and we have like a cigar patio. So when the space next door opened, it only made sense to create a cigar bar. So
I mean, it's something that, you know, we sell atmosphere.
Right.
And that's what I want. You know, people say I sell this, I sell that, but we want you to come and relax and have a good time. We want you to enjoy the atmosphere.
Right.
And I tell everybody this, come in and see what we're about. Come and have a glass of wine and feel comfortable, feel safe.
Right.
And it's all about atmosphere.
I like that. You say you sell atmosphere. So that takes me to something that I mentioned before, reviving the lost art of good conversation. So I saw that on your website. How did you come up with that? I mean, what does that mean? How does dialogue do this?
Well, the name is dialogue, and then not by accident. We noticed, and I noticed even before him, but we also noticed when we go out places, couples are on their phone, they're not talking, and just people in general, they're buried in their electronic devices. So we wanted to create a space to bring back conversation. So we do have topics of the day, and every day you'll come in, you can read the board. We'll talk about it with you, or you can talk about it amongst yourselves. But we do want to encourage conversation.
Okay.
So what was the topic? What was the recent topic of the day?
Oh,
it was some Roe versus Wade.
Oh wow, that's deep. Y'all talking about real stuff.
With the abortion going on, what can the husband or the man can do to help the woman in a situation like that?
If Roe versus Wade were to be overturned, what role can men play to prevent or to assist in that matter?
Wow, that's a very fascinating concept, and that is a perfect segue to our first tip. Why does wine make you smart? You know, anytime I think, when I was getting ready for this show, my wife was like, why are you putting on a suit and glasses? You don't even wear glasses. I was like, because we got to talk to people who sell wine. So I felt like I need to look sophisticated, you know? So like, why do people feel like they gotta, like, they just get extra smart when they drink wine? So like, tell us, what's the first tip? Why does wine make you smart?
You know what? It's funny how you say that, because I could drink a glass of wine and say I finish this glass of wine, then I get another glass of wine, and I start talking to people, and they'll say, you know what say, what kind of wine is this? And then I will get smart with it and say, you know what, this is 1937. It comes from the background of catharsis of this.
Oh, you need to drop the catharsis. I need you to spell it. I need you to spell that, Greg.
I start using big words. And it's not me, it's the wine.
There you go.
Hey, now that is the first tip.
So wine makes you conversational.
It makes you conversational. That's why it makes you smart. That's our first tip for the people that are watching and the people that are listening. So for we got a little bit of we got to be full disclosure, because I don't want people. My mama probably watching this, so I don't want her to be like, my son don't drink. You know, so we were talking to you, so we got that. This is real wine right here. This is real white Zinfandel, but those two glasses got cranberry juice in it. But we wanted the atmosphere. We wanted to go ahead and take a sip, Shay, so we could go ahead and get started. We'll take our first.
I gotta take a sip.
We'll take our first sip. Yeah, I think I could get my first one. We'll take our first sip. Cheers to the Tatums.
Cheers.
You know, we'll get our first sip going.
Cheers, you right?
All right. So just for novice beginners, because for a person like me and Shalise who don't drink,
okay,
could you give the listeners and the viewers maybe some tips on how to get into, if they want to get into like wine and they might feel intimidated and might not want to come because they're like, hey, I don't know anything about wine, so I'm intimidated about coming into dialogue. Can you give us some tips? What are some of your intro to wine tips?
Well, we have, it's called a not so classy wine tasting. And for that reason alone, we have all of our wines on the sheet, and you can pick, we'll describe what they are, sweet, dry, red, white, rosés. You can pick what you want to taste and taste it. And that's a good way the best way to enter into drinking wine is to do a tasting, so you know what you like and what you don't like. Most people, when they're first starting, they like the sweet wines. But some people like drier, red wine. So just do a tasting, come in, no reason to be intimidated. We also make non-alcoholic. We have an easy living that is amazing. It's all juice, and we put little fruit and umbrellas in it, so you think like you're doing something. But you can come in and not have to drink wine, or we can teach you about the wines that we have.
Oh wow! So you have kind of like a tutorial classes?
In the tastings, it's kind of like an educational but fun way.
Okay, cool.
To learn about different wines.
But see, here's the thing. I guarantee you, if you're not a drinker, you come to dialogue, you will drink wine. It's like I said before. we have people that come to dialogue not just for the wine. They don't
Right.
drink at all.
Right.
They come from the atmosphere.
Exactly.
Because we
Right.
have different things of events, you know,
Right.
like wine and words, where we do poetry
Spoken word.
and spoken word and
Right.
things of that
Okay.
sort. So you come for the entertainment too.
Right.
And also people like just to come for the conversation because our topics be hot,
Yes.
very hot.
Yep.
Okay.
On
Yeah, that's
Thursdays-
awesome.
Thursdays are our happy hour days, and there's no DJ, so it's a good time to come in and we talk to. It becomes like cheers. Everybody's talking to each other. They're getting into the topic, and it's a fun way to spend your Thursday night. You don't have to drink. I mean, like I said, we have non-alcoholic drinks. Some
Mhm.
people drink pop, but they come just for the atmosphere and to be a part of the conversation.
Okay. So that had me thinking, because I was going to ask, what else do you offer? So it sounds like you've got special events and things. So Thursdays is a happy hour event.
Yes.
So,
Yep.
and then I
Thursday,
know
6 to 11.
from 6 to 11,
7 to 11.
7 to 11. Okay.
Yes.
And then I know that you've had karaoke before.
Yes.
So there are other things that are outside of just the conversation that you usually have. I don't know how often you're doing that, but how do you decide what creates that atmosphere for those types of events?
Well, on Saturdays, we usually do our bigger events with either a DJ or some live music. So every Saturday, you're going to get something like this. This Saturday is Saturday night karaoke with DJ Showtime. We've had the spoken word nights. We've had
The Love Jones.
Love
night.
Jones night. We've had a night of poor decisions, POUR, where we make cocktails.
Oh, that's pretty
Ah.
cool.
Every Saturday is a themed event, and we just kind of collaborate every week and say what we're gonna do next week and come up with some stuff.
And also we rent out the place.
Yes.
We have a lot of political figures who rent out the place for
Right.
fundraising. And a lot of people just want to have birthday parties there. Like last
Showers.
couple of weeks, baby showers. One person want to have a wedding there.
Oh, wow.
So it's just something that it's a nice atmosphere. And that's what we bring it to the
Right.
people. And that's why they want to come there and just enjoy themselves.
There was one thing that I wanted to talk about. Well, first, I wanted to applaud you on opening up Dialogue Wine Bar where you did. And the reason I say that is because I think one of the things that we're very passionate about is urban renewal and economic development and, in African American areas. And you probably could have opened this wine bar anywhere in the world. And it's such a unique fit to open it up where you opened it up. I'm curious as to, did that go into your mindset in terms of opening it up in a place like Gary, Indiana, where, there are not a lot of wine bars, period, in certain areas, but to open it up in an area where the concept might not be readily understood, did that go through your mind, and why did you open up where you did?
It definitely went into my mind. When I first thought of it, Lake Street was just the street. I had to have it on Lake Street. I don't know why, really. I just felt like it fit. It's a nice little unique area in Gary, but it's still Gary, and I wanted it in Gary. Yeah, like I said, when we first started and the whole book bar concept, people didn't get it. So you adjust, but still keep it at a level, that you make people rise to your level, but you also adjust. So I do think we are, just because we're an urban area doesn't mean we don't know wine or that we shouldn't know wine. So why not Gary?
Well, it's something where, the first thing people think about is that, let's go to Crown Point, let's go to Valpo,
Right.
let's go to Cherville.
Right.
Gary is the place to put it because we don't have establishments like this. So you don't have to pick up and say, hey, let's go to this place over in Cherville or Crown Point. And nothing against them, but you want somewhere where you can go into your own neighborhood and go to these type of places and have a good, great time.
Right.
I love that. Because we are definitely supporters of making sure we build things in our community. So we were intentional with our law practice, our law firm. So same thing.
Yeah. So how is it working? You two are married. You got a dynamic business, one that's taking off. Sounds like it's going great. So how is the dynamic of being a husband and wife team? Should you share that with us?
I just agree with my wife.
all the
That's it.
time.
Nothing else.
All the time.
No,
Right?
well, you know, people they need to know that we still have regular jobs.
Right.
Okay. We also have another business, Tatum Security, which is
Right.
a security business, and now we get ready to open up Miller Beach Cigar Bar.
Right.
So that's 3 different things that we got going on. And we're here and there, you know, I'm running here, she running there. I'm not at home sometimes, she's not at home sometimes.
Right.
So what it is we have something that we do every Friday. We have date night.
Yep.
Regardless of what's going on,
Yeah.
date night is Friday.
That's right.
We don't change that, nothing. We established that.
Right.
But it's I'll tell you this, it's hard, but it's achievable. And
It
it's at the end of the rainbow,
Mm-hmm.
there's that reward. And that's what it's all about. And then that's what we're doing. We have a great marriage. Great marriage. I love my wife. My wife loves me. Right, baby?
Yeah, I do.
Y'all so sweet.
I do.
So but yeah, it's it's something that's hard work. It takes hard work.
It is hard
And
work.
I mean hard work. And that's what we're going through now because we do have regular jobs.
Right. But like I
No,
told
that's-
him earlier,
that's pretty good.
too, being married, because we are truly best friends. Like
Mhm.
this is my homie, and so being able to work with him and then going the atmosphere that we work in, it almost feels like we're on a date every time we work instead of, it is hard. It's because we do clash, but feeling like I'm just here kicking it with my best friend and we happen to own the place. I love it. I love it.
That's
That's
awesome.
pretty cool. So that again, perfect segue to our next tip. Tip number 2. Why does wine make you smart? Got another tip for us?
You know what? Wine de-stresses you a little bit.
Okay.
So that can make you smart, right?
It's, you know what?
Breaks everything down a little
Right.
bit.
And when you're stressing out, say at your job,
Yes,
you drink some wine and it
Yes.
calms you
it
down.
calms you.
And then you get to talking, like I said,
Yeah.
you get to talking
Yeah.
about conversation, and you saying, you watch the news and think you think you know everything,
Yep.
and wine and you know more. So it's just something that I want to make sure because it kind of distresses you,
It does.
and then it brings out how can I say it brings out that different person in you when you drink
Yeah.
your wine.
That's
So
a pretty good tip.
Clears your mind and gives you a different
Yes.
perspective.
That's right. That's why wine makes you smart.
Translating that.
Yeah. Since he got me over here fancy in the suit and stuff.
Oh my
Oh, wow.
goodness.
It's
So
funny. It's funny you say that though, because when people come to dialogue, we notice they're all dressed up. Like,
Yes.
and it's like, wow, okay, we don't ask you to, but I guess wine makes you feel classy and you want to, look the part. So yeah, people come in and they're dressed up. They're coming to impress.
Wine makes you feel sophisticated.
that's right.
Yeah.
That's
You know?
right.
I'm
So-
sitting up straight and everything. I'm all like,
Right.
yes.
So how many African Americans are in your industry? How many
How many?
African American owned wine bars are there, if you know?
There's
Is this
a
an
lot
industry?
of wine bars, but actually there's a lot of wine makers coming up.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Black wine, African American winemakers are on the rise, and even I've seen a couple with vineyards.
Yeah.
So I think that's amazing.
So
I mean, we went to they just built one, and I think he's been open maybe a year in Lansing.
Yes.
He's it's a black-owned wine
Yeah.
bar.
SL
I don't know if
Wine
can I shout him out or
Oh, absolutely.
yeah.
That's what this
yes,
is for.
S&L Wine Bar.
Yes,
You got to get a
it's a
chance to
nice
go
wine
there.
bar.
It's
Yep.
a nice wine bar, and it's similar to ours.
Yes.
And what we told him, he asked us for some advice, and we told him you have to have conversation.
Yeah.
Because you have a bar that everybody just come and have conversation with themselves on their phone.
Right.
The owners have to the word I'm trying to use. Let me drink some wine first to get started.
It makes you smart. Wine makes you
have to
smart.
interact- you have to interact
Right.
with people at the bar. And we went there. It was a great time.
Mhm.
So S&L Wine Bar in Lansing.
Yep.
That's a
Okay.
shout out. That's a shout out. And the other thing, that other segment that we added, and I'm sure this is you're the first group that we've had with the segment. It's called our dream segment. So, our very first show on this podcast was all a dream, where we kind of walked our viewers and our listeners through kind of what we dreamed up when we started our firm. So
Okay. Nice.
we want you to do the same thing. You hear that music? That's the dream.
That's the dream, isn't it?
That's the dream music. So what dreams do you have for Dialogue Bar for the next 5 to 10 years? What are your dreams? Where do you see the bar being in the future? And if you had your wish, if you were a genie, where do you see Dialogue Bar being in 5 years or 10 years?
New York City.
She always wanted a wine bar, Dialogue Wine Bar in New York City.
New York City.
It's about expansion. It's about expansion.
Yes.
Open up more dialogues in different areas. I would like to put a dialogue downtown Gary. I would like to branch out so people can see the concept and people can get ideas of entrepreneurship. I would like to do that. So our dreams is to put it in expansion, put it in other places. She wants New York. I wanted just that people can say dialogue. Hey, that's a great place to go to. And there's one here, there's one there. And bring out a different type of atmosphere for everybody who's looking for a great place to have fun and conversation.
Oh, that was a great dream. New York, New York. That's one of my favorite places in the whole world, New York. You open up a Dialogue Wine Bar, I will go there and I will have a drink of wine at the New York spot. Oh man. So last and final tip. Tip number 3. Why does wine make you smart?
Why does wine make you smart? Tip number 3.
Tip number 3. I can say this right here. Wine makes you smart is because just like you're talking right now, just sitting here, drinking a little sip of wine, I'm coming up with all these different ideas that I can say, hey, you giving me ideas, I can do it this way. This way. It's all about, like you said, what you say, economic growth.
Yeah.
So I want economic growth with our wine bar. And if you see what I'm talking about, I'm getting smarter and smarter as we talk.
Absolutely. Look at that.
That's what the wine
is doing.
Now, see, Greg, I don't know if you're getting smarter, if you're getting drunk.
So wine, the last tip, wine spurs creativity.
I like that. Wine sparks creativity, which makes you smarter. Well, that is great. That is absolutely wonderful. So we're at the end of this podcast. Man, that was that went by so fast. And that's what happens when you're talking to great people and you're getting a little buzz. That's what happens. Things go by real quick.
Right.
So why don't you go ahead, Shay?
I was going to say, go ahead and let everybody know where you're located, your social media, and everything that they need to know about Dialogue Wine Bar.
We are located at 601 South Lake Street in the Miller section of Gary. Our social media, Facebook and Instagram, are both Dialogue Wine Bar, and our website is dialoguewinebar.com.
Great.
That is awesome. And what is your next topic of discussion for the folks? And maybe people can come out. When is the next spot? The next topic?
Well, tomorrow is happy hour, and usually he's kind of making up on the fly. So what you got for tomorrow?
Well, I don't really deal with politics. I don't want to go in there because people get mad and things, arguing over Donald Trump and stuff like that. I don't get into all that. But I try to make everybody wants relationship questions. And one relationship question that I think I'm gonna put together tomorrow is, would you give your spouse your cell phone for a day?
Oh wow.
Okay. Y'all got security?
Oh man, well there you have it.
I mean, we'll see what people say. It's not about insecurity, it's not about hiding anything. Would you just give your head? Here's my cell phone for a day.
There you go.
Well, that sounds awesome. Married people's business. Greg getting brothers in trouble on the way out. And we Shalice, we always keep God first.
There we
you
go.
want to tell them where to follow us, the viewers and the listeners?
Oh, well, subscribe to our YouTube channel, Married People's Business, and you can find us on wherever you stream podcasts, Spotify, iHeartRadio, Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, and Amazon Music.
Absolutely. And go visit the Tatums and grab you some wine and get smart, folks.
Right, get smart.
All right.
And also, if you stay prayed up, you stay
Yes,
paid up.
That's it.
I like that.
I like that too. Married
Yes.
people's business, and we're out with the Tatums. Thank you very much.
Thank
Thank
you.
you. Thank you.
Thank y'all.